Thank you, friends, Shabbat Shalom, and greetings to you all. I hope you all had a fantastic week. Now, this week marks 83 years since Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, a sanctioned pogrom conducted on Jews on November 9th, 1938, as the Germans smashed synagogues and Jewish businesses throughout Nazi Germany. Now, many are now more worried than they have been in decades as they wonder, how close are we to that again? The rising tide of anti-Semitism is perhaps worse now than at any time since before the Second World War. When we stop teaching history, history will repeat. We have to join together to shout, never again. We mustn't just remember good events, friends. We must remember some of the bad to make sure they do not occur again. And one of the good things, though, coming up will be the American Thanksgiving. This year it's on the 25th, which happens to be right before Hanukkah. And friends, the holiday of Thanksgiving is also like Hanukkah, a holiday of miracles. Isn't it great to give thanks for freedom, for opportunity, for family, for friends, for the great bounties of life? And it's so cool that it's tied into Hanukkah. And Hanukkah is the holiday of miracles, which is such a fantastic holiday. It's surrounded by some of the greatest Torah readings, by increased light at the darkest time of the year. It feeds our love of dreams by an amazing story that expands our belief in and around our fascination with miracles. Now, miracles are all around. They shout out to us, just as angels do. God's messengers are all around, and we think of angels far more than we think of miracles. But miracles remind us of the majesty and the splendor of the world. Many nights we prayed, no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts, a hopeful song we barely understood. We are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe, though it's frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. You will when you believe. Friends, believe in miracles and see them unfold. They unfold around you all the time. But we're always reminded of the miracles that surround us in various ways. In films like Miracle on 34th Street, that everybody knows starred the real Santa Claus, or events like the Miracle on Ice in the 1980 Winter Olympics at Lake Placid. Miracles are everywhere. And I know your list is growing every day of all the miracles that have taken place in your life. And in 2 weeks, the holiday of miracles, with 8 days of gifts, hey, that's a miracle in itself, becomes a holiday of oil as we eat delicious fried foods, a holiday devoted to donuts and potatoes. Yum, yum. It's a holiday of dedication to holiness, which we play great games, including perhaps the forerunner of slot machines, the brilliant and unassuming dreidel. It has lovely body with legs so short and thin, and when it's tired, it drops. Then I will. Oh, trade. I made it out of clay. Dreidel, I shall play. Now, friends, Jews the world over come together during those 8 days to remember and honor the rededication of our own temples, carried within our hearts, like when we come together and gather as a like-minded group, a community, collective consciousness of seekers showing faith, any and all faith, love, any and all love, a true chavura fellowship, expressing our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes, unites us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay. And even though together we are individual in our approach, each connecting in his or her own special way. So once again, please do go ahead. Invite everybody you know, some physically, digitally, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever way you can to gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Yam Yam. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Yam Yam. How good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. Together. Let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Remember, friends, this is your setting aside just a little bit of sacred time in your own sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in. We all believe in something. It's part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It's your goodwill. Goodwill and intention, they're the roots of what you control, of what you can correct. Your intention sets in motion everything that occurs in your lives. Let's take some time now. Let's use that intention. Send out some of that goodwill, some light, some healing out to whoever you know that needs it. Healing and renewal for everybody. Floats through space finding those in need. So send it out for those you know and for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. Think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love, or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people. It is for our pets. It is for the earth. It is the healing of the world, the tikkun olam. That's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. We have to help heal the world. It's not something we complete. It is an ongoing task to be dealt with in our lifetime. It's for every lifetime, and we must each do our part. Each of us improve and change your own little corner of the world, because as you change yourself, you change the conditions of your life. Part of that healing of the world is when we send thoughts and energy, health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick. It's for those in our hearts and our minds. Let's all send energy out for the people in need everywhere. Special thoughts and prayers for Alana, for Sherry, for Connie, for Daniel and Julia, for Yosef, Aurelia, for Snoop, for Kathleen and James, for Dave and Terry, for all our sacred animal friends everywhere, for everybody you know in need, for the whole world, and for Devora. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes, the goodwill and love that we all send out. It just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care, because the world is a world of spirit. And spirit, my friends, never dies. May the source of strength bless the ones made for us. Help us find the courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. And say, Amen. Nishberach, let us all have our spirits renewed. This is the great prayer for healing, in which we call upon God to heal as it is healed before. Misha Berach, may he who blessed, because all healings are blessings. So let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. And this week we read Vayetza, and he went out. The he who went out is Jacob. Last week we saw Rebecca as the architect of a deception that would leave a trail of karma. But it's not just her. Both parents, in their choice of supporting one child over the other, fostered the anger, resentments, insecurities that became part of the genetic inheritances we may all still carry. We were left with more questions than answers, After reading about these initial deceptions, we don't know why Jacob insisted on his brother's birthright in exchange for life-saving food. Maybe that too was suggested by Rebecca in some grand design. This is a topic that Midrash left alone, and that in itself makes you wonder. She convinced Jacob to deceive his father as he was dying, and he hesitated only out of fear of being caught, not because it was wrong. Now that speaks of his ethical and moral fiber that he inherited from his parents. He lied to his father when asked who he was. A life-defining moment, if ever there was one. This is the most important question you can ever be asked. Who are you? It was asked twice last week, both times eliciting deliberate lies. Who are you? The most powerful question you can ever be asked. Do you know yourself well enough to be able to answer that, my friends? Who are you? Well, Rebecca's fear of Esau seeking retribution on Jacob had her convince Jacob to flee to her family under the guise of seeking a bride until things calmed down. Poor Esau. He simply performed the dying request of his father only to be told there's no blessing for him. He broke down and he wept. It meant more to him than we were led to believe. And when his brother left to find a bride, he married, thinking this would please his parents, only to be further rejected by his mother. Now, while his anger and disappointment may at first glance seem reasonable, how we find him later and how he is portrayed is quite fascinating. His rule is not done. But this week is about Jacob and his 20-year odyssey, and it begins with what many may very well consider one of the most famous dreams in history. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Jacob's ladder, the stairway to heaven, so brilliantly carved onto the walls of Oxford University. It's something that elicits thoughts and visions in almost everybody. Now, this dream will set off the most incredible series of dreams reported in the Bible all over the course of the next few weeks. Now, in addition to the dream, he meets his mother's family, gets married, fathers the 12 tribes and a daughter, becomes very wealthy. Then he packs his family up and he leaves. 20 years in the blink of an eye, filled with bitterness, resentments, deceits, thievery. Crosses genders, shatters families. In other words, it's a microcosmic presentation of ongoing family life that we all experience. Genesis 28:11. And he happened upon a place and stayed the night there because the sun was setting, and he dreamed. And here was a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reaching to the skies, and there were angels of God going up and going down by it. Here was the Lord standing over him, and he said, I am God, your father Abraham's God and Isaac's God. The land on which you're lying, I'll give it to you and to your seed. And your seed will be like the dust of the earth, and you'll expand to the west and east and north and south. And all the families on the earth will be blessed through you and through your seed. And here I am with you, and I'll watch over you everywhere that you'll go, and I'll bring you back to this land. For I won't leave you until I've done what I've spoken to you. And Jacob woke from his sleep and said, the Lord is actually in this place, and I didn't know. He was afraid. And that becomes his most important emotion, fear. And he said, how awesome this place is. This is none other than God's house, and this is the gate of the skies. We have just witnessed his own epiphany. His father's God did in fact exist and would protect him and provide for his descendants. And what does Jacob do? Genesis 28:20. Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and watch over me in this way that I'm going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and I come back in peace to my father's house, then the Lord will become my God. He makes a conditional promise to believe in God, if and only if this series of conditions are met. This is who Jacob is. Look to the actions. They define the soul. Well, he continues along and he comes across a well in the fields and sheep gathered around it, and he finds he's reached the home of his uncle Laban. He sees Laban's daughter Rachel, falls in love with her, and performs the betrothal ritual. Now, one of the best depictions of it, my friends, was in Ben-Hur, when Charlton Heston fought off the ruffians at Jethro's well when he met Zipporah. That was a perfect example of the betrothal ritual. So Jacob's with family, and he stays there. Genesis 29:15, and Laban said to Jacob, "Is it right, because you're my brother, that you should work for me for free? Tell me what your pay should be." Now, Laban had 2 daughters. The older one's name was Leah. The younger one's name was Rachel. Leah's eyes were tender. Rachel had an attractive figure and was beautiful. Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, "I'll work for you for 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." Now, this is the biblical way of saying one was better looking than the other. It probably wouldn't really be able to write that today. We all know the story. Genesis 29:20. And Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel. They were like a few days in his eyes because of his loving her. And Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, because my days have been completed, and let me come to her." Laban gathered all the people of the place and made a feast. It was in the evening. And he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he came to her. And Laban gave her his maid Zilpah to Leah, his daughter, as a maid. It was in the morning, and here she was, Leah. And he said to Laban, "What is this you've done to me? Didn't I work with you for Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" Laban said, "It's not done like that in our place, to give the younger one before the firstborn." Boom! Karma. The man who deceived his elder brother and father was stymied by the law he himself circumvented. Now, there is a fantastic midrash about this incident. Midrash Bereshit Rabbi represents the correspondence between the 2 episodes. And all that night he cried out to her, "Rachel," and she answered him. In the morning, look, she was Leah, and he said to her, "Why did you deceive me, daughter of a deceiver? Didn't I call out Rachel in the night and you answered me?" She said, "Isn't this how your father cried out Esau and you answered him?" Leah was clever. She turned his comment on him in an instant, and she was right. Well, Jacob agrees to work another 7 years, and then he wed Rachel too. Now, this whole story of the switched brides, it's a meting out of poetic justice to Jacob. The deceiver deceived, deprived by darkness of the sense of sight, as his father is by blindness, relying like his father on the misleading sense of touch. And the senses play a very strong role in this story. And friends, it is a story about the choices we make. And choices mean you have to take a stance. You have to make up your mind about which direction you're going to go in. Did you ever have to make up your mind? Pick up on one, leave the other behind. That's not often easy, not often kind. Did you ever have to make up your mind? You know, the more you read about Jacob, the more you see Jacob was not kind. He could sacrifice and expunge people without thinking twice. He hates Leah, loves Rachel. Rachel can't have children. Leah can, and gives him 2 sons right away. Genesis 29:32. And Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son and called his name Reuben, because she said, "Because the Lord looked at my suffering, so that now my man will love me." She became pregnant again and gave birth to a son and said, "Because the Lord heard, listened, because I was hated, it gave me this one too." And she called his name Shimon. She hoped having a child would bring her the love she deserved from her husband. But no, he hated her anyhow. And the names, Reuben, because God saw; Shimon, because God heard. I told you last time, notice the senses. It's more irony. Isaac could no longer see and did not trust what he heard when Jacob stole the blessing. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy. Be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let's all send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them and take advantage of the time you have and enjoy the journey. Now examine your intention, my friends. Use it to imprint your will on the universe because we set in motion all that happens in our lives. It's our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect. Everything's linked. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness, but do so with sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you as you learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is in your acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, the world, just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? Because if you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. Keep moving towards your promised land. It is your home. Keep on dreaming. Keep on being. Keep sharing. Keep shining. Keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Keep inviting miracles into your life and don't follow fear. Follow love. It's always in front of you. Remember to have faith. It's an unwavering adherence to principle, just as have faith in the principle of love and of all of you. Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none, cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year. May you nurture kindness and love everywhere you go. Work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet your mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness and the ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. Make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you because you're never alone. You're forever blessed. And you have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet, health, love, and renewal to everybody you come across, because we're all energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous. Bless others and bless yourself in love with the heart, because we're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear. Forgiveness, not anger. And be there for someone, because someone's always going to be there for you whether you know it or not. Continue to explore faith and belief and what they mean to you. Never accept shame as a natural state, because whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you've experienced, others have too, because we share together. We learn together and we help each other, because we are each of us trying to find love and acceptance and support. We all have or could have that special someone